Welcome to the first Global Skills Day. I'm so glad that you could join us today. I'm Gary A. Bolles, the host of GSD21, and I wear three different hats that I spin constantly. I'm the chair for the future of work with Singularity University. I'm the co-founder of a company called eParachute, which brings the learnings from a book called What Color is Your Parachute online. And I'm a partner in a company called Charrette, based here in San Francisco. And our producer with Charrette is my business partner and wife, Heidi Kleinmaus. So why are we here today? I believe that we're going to look back at this time and realize that collectively around the globe, we were all rewriting the next rules for work and learning as we speak. As the global pandemic has shown us, the real challenges that we face are the pace and the scale of change. We used to think it was robots and software, and then along came a virus. So in the face of that kind of exponential change, we need to double down on our commitment to try to make a better future for human skills. Now, when we started planning Global Skills Day 2021, we settled on the phrase envisioning work and learning in a post-pandemic world. But the truth is that today, far too many places around the world are not post-pandemic. There's so many places that are still deeply affected. Back in April of 2020, I wrote an article called The Great Reset. And what I was talking about at the time was my belief that if you look back at the kind of big impacts to local and global economies in the past, especially like the Great Recession, they seem to follow sort of three phases. There was a falling off the cliff phase, complete uncertainty. Nobody knew what was happening. There was a sort of riffling along the bottom phase, almost like a rheostat, not a light switch, but a switch that was sort of a dimmer switch going on and a little bit and then off a little bit. Suddenly there's virus, reduction in the virus, infection rates in an area. Oh, people can get back together. Oh, nope, suddenly it spikes again. Now you can't. And so this was the sort of phase two. And then there would be hopefully a phase three where we could not just build back, but we could build back better. Not just return to the way that we had been operating before, but we could actually build a new vision for what work and learning could be. And I believe in many places around the world, we're at that inflection point. Now, obviously, there are so many places that are still so deeply affected by the virus. And my heart goes out to anybody who is coming in from one of those locations. But I think is what we've seen from these past resets is that we need to both focus on the tactical issues that we have to solve for today, but we also have to look farther down the road. My good friend John Hagel, who I'll be interviewing later in the day, he calls that zoom in, zoom out. He says we need to think about how we solve problems that are right in front of us, but then we also need to look farther down the road. We need to start thinking about the ways that we're building the kinds of collaborative ecosystems that will allow us all not to just be able to survive going forward, but to thrive. And I think we're at that inflection point. I think this is where we have the opportunity to try to start to build that connective tissue between each of us and to start to co-create that vision for what the post-pandemic world of work and learning, which are pretty much inseparable. In the past, Heidi and I, we've done initiatives focused on the future of higher education, the future of work, the growing gap between haves and have-nots. And it turns out all these elements are rather interconnected. But where I believe they interconnect is around human skills. So much of the ways that we talk about these big shifts in work and learning, we tend to think about impacts. We think about what I call the problem domain. We see a lot of the challenges of remote and distributed work, and we'll be having a session on that later today. And we see a lot of the challenges of what's often called hybrid learning, which is probably the worst of both worlds. But the truth is, each of these are essentially responses, things that we've decided to do when we've realized that it's putting us at risk to be around each other. But what we've done is we've learned just how rapidly we can adapt. We've learned that given the right incentives or disincentives, that we together can, in a blindingly short period of time, can come up with new ways of working and new ways of learning. Now, when they're done in a panic mode, when they're done so rapidly, obviously that's not ideal. It's really how we start to think about how can we be more adaptive going forward? How can we be more resilient? Well, we know that the way to do that is more connectivity, not just connectivity in terms of internet access, but connectivity between us as human beings. And so that's really part of the vision for Global Skills Day today, to celebrate human skills, to realize that each of us has a unique mix of skills and attributes and interests and experiences that is unlike any other human being on the planet. And we have the capability to be able to help unlock that human potential, that human capacity to be able to solve the problems of today and tomorrow. Now, as we started to look at those problems, those issues that people were dealing with, we saw four sort of red threads that kept coming through over and over again. One of the themes, one of the sets of core issues was how we work. And we as humans, we've got a long history of working. We didn't always call it that, and we didn't always think of work as being a great thing. But nowadays, many of us, we need to work to be able to fulfill ourselves, to be able to fulfill our dreams, achieve our goals, to be able to have an income, feed our families, and put a roof over their heads. So how we work, and especially how we can work together going forward, is one thread. A second thread is how will we learn? I said they're inseparable. The truth is, when we all are born, we're sort of these trial and error machines. We sort of learn how to solve problems as we go along. And we need to increasingly understand how we can develop the skills so that we can learn how to learn on an ongoing basis. That's another great takeaway from the Great Reset. Third is a lot of the ways that we work and learn are in organizations. That's how we humans come together to create value. And so how can organizations shift, and especially the sort of flashpoint of organizations, which is often that human resources or talent department, how will that go through its changes? How can it transform organizations? How can we hack the way HR works? And then finally, how can we spark the entrepreneurial fervor to address the big challenges of today and tomorrow? It can be starting small things, small businesses, and starting bigger businesses, but how can we use that entrepreneurial energy, that agency, to help solve the problems of today and tomorrow? So it turns out those are our four tracks, and that's a good entry point. I'd like to invite our other track chairs to join me, and I'd love to introduce them and then give them an opportunity to give you just 1 minute about what they're going to be focusing on in each of their tracks. So let me just briefly introduce each one of them, and then I'm going to ask them to give you 1 minute. So Lindsey Kneuven is the CEO of Pure Impact and the former Chief Impact Officer for the online learning company Pluralsight, and she's the former Executive Director of their global education-focused foundation, Pluralsight One. And Enrique Rubio, who's the founder of Hacking HR, producer of the massive online event by the same name, and he's a one-man powerhouse who is single-handedly trying to help transform the world of human talent. And then finally, Arnobio Morelix, Chief Data Scientist for Inc. magazine, who's a senior advisor to the Global Entrepreneurship Network, author of the book Rebooted, and the former Chief Innovation Officer of the startup Genome. So I hope you are as tremendously impressed by the talent represented here as I am. And I'd love to ask Lindsey, who is anchoring our Future of Learning track, to just give a brief overview.
Thanks, Gary. It's such a pleasure to be here with you all. I'm really excited about the Future of Learning track because I believe that learning is absolutely foundational and so connected to the other tracks that will be featured here today. We have some incredible practitioners and experts who will be sharing their work and their lessons from the field. I think that's the absolute highlight, is that we have people who are solving problems as those problems continue to evolve, and they're adapting and excited to share those lessons, those learnings, and even those failures with you today.
Wonderful, Lindsey. Thank you. Enrique, please give us an overview.
Absolutely. Well, Gary, thank you so much for putting this event together. I am excited to invite everybody to join us in all of the tracks. I hope you can clone yourself, but if you can't, you're gonna have to choose, and you have amazingness, end to end in this event. So whatever track you choose to go to, it's going to be awesome. If you join us at the Hacking HR track, we're going to be focused on the transformation of HR, but especially on how HR can become the leader, leading the way, becoming what I call a trailblazer, leading the way of that transformation into the future. So I am honored to be here with all of you, and I hope you enjoy the entire Global Skills Day.
Wonderful, Enrique. And Arnobio.
Hello, everyone. I'm so excited to be here with you today. My name is Arnobio. I'm calling today from Brazil. I tend to divide my time between Brazil and Silicon Valley. And as Enrique said, it's an amazing event, amazing group discussions here all around. In the entrepreneurship track, what we're going to be talking about is really, when I take a look at the big picture at what's happening around the world for entrepreneurship, it's a bit both a dream and a nightmare. And, on the dream side is we have more ecosystems than ever producing unicorns. We have amazing value being created, amazing innovations, but it's also a nightmare, like record unemployment. At the same time, we have record startup activity. And in our track, we're going to be talking about how to have more of the dream and less of the nightmare through three main threads: communities, skills, and inclusion. Thank you so much. Looking forward to this day with all of you.
That is awesome, Arnobio. And then I'm the chair for the Future of Work track. So just to give you a brief overview, I want to help people to really walk away with some insights about how we think about work, what work is, some of the things that we've had to adapt to in terms of how we work and when we work, why we work, where we work, but also want to have people learn strategies. So we've got a range of different sessions that are going to look at different facets of the diamond of what work has been, but really what work can be going forward. And now that so many of us are in a new world of work, we've had to learn new skills, how we can continue to do that on an ongoing basis, how we can help in the context of, as I often say, individuals, organizations, communities, and countries to be able to build a more inclusive and human-centered future of work. So I'm going to put each of you on the spot, and I'm going to ask you one more question. If you could wave a magic wand, what is the one thing that you want to make sure people walk away with from Global Skills Day today? I'll just give mine first to give you a moment, and then I'll ask Arnobio to give his vision. But my vision is that you come away with actionable strategies, hopefully for you as an individual, but definitely within your organization, your community, your country, whatever domain you're most focused on, but you're inspired to actually help sponsor meaningful change. So that's my hope, is that we're trying to spark people to be able to take away actionable insights. Arnobio, your thought.
My hope is that we all come away with hope. I think there's so much catastrophic discourse out there. We're all out of jobs and we're all in trouble, and the world situation of the world is sad and it's terrible. And there's a lot to be concerned about, but there's also a lot of hope. There's amazing people, many of them here today, that are building a better future for humans in this new world. So I hope we all come away with hope.
No, I think that's marvelous, Arnobio. My father, who was an author of career manuals, he always said that change begins with hope. Personal change, systemic change always begins with a hope-based narrative. Enrique, your thought.
I hope people walk away hungry for action. I think the time to raise awareness about things, that's already exhausted. I mean, we are aware that we live in a world of chaos, of social, political, financial unrest, of inequality. We know that already. Awareness has been exhausted. Now we need to move to action. So I am hoping that people walk away hungry to take action and learn how to do it and how to do it effectively. So that's it.
Awesome. Awesome. And Lindsey, just briefly, your thought.
Sure. I hope people leave with fearlessness, that they're committed to breaking the confines of education systems and the way that we've always learned, or the way we think we should learn, because in order to solve the problems and create a more abundant, beautiful future, we really need to build learners in a different way. So I hope there's a fearlessness and that we can commit to unleashing talent together.
Hope, action, fearlessness, done. All right, those are our goals for today. And I think Enrique was right. Your biggest challenge as an attendee, as a participant today, is picking which track to jump into. You can't clone yourself, but we will be posting videos afterwards, the weeks coming after the event. So if you missed one, don't be disappointed. We'll give you the chance to see it afterwards. So please, we're going to go for a 5-minute break. We're going to show bit.ly links, so you can type in those links to jump to those rooms, or you can look on your agenda file if you've downloaded the PDF from the website, or you can look on the agenda on the website itself and click on the links for one of the tracks. But we'll see you in 5 minutes in one of the tracks.
Great.